The government did not just break landlords, they broke renters as well. And they did it in a way that most people still do not even understand. Because today I'm going to break down and show you exactly why buy-to-let is no longer a viable strategy. Not because, you know, everybody thinks landlords are greedy, or on the flip side, tenants are just lazy people. The real reason is because the government policy quietly killed it. Stay with me on this though, guys. Once you hear this and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Okay, over the last few years, what have we had? We've had COVID spending, emergency budgets, tax freezes, the interest rate spikes, and just policy after policy chaos. So Rishi Sunak has recently had an interview with The Telegraph about how he openly admits he had to raise taxes to pay for the COVID interventions.
Now, I, as UK Chancellor, had to stand up and, as you said, make all these difficult decisions about raising taxes to pay for the pandemic support, because I thought that was the right thing to do to get our public finances back in order. I obviously didn't love doing that. You obviously, you know, there's a political price that comes with these things. It is what it is. That was the right thing to do. I wanted to do it. You can see there where the tension is.
Liz Truss has spent the last year explaining why she's not responsible for the market panic and the mortgage rates exploding. So these are different people at different moments, different things going on, but it all leads to the same thing, the same outcome. The cost of housing went up. The cost of rents went up. The cost of food went up. The cost of everything went up. Everything went up apart from stability. That went down. It didn't go down, it completely disappeared. And buy-to-let relies on one thing above all else: stability.
The uncertainty around today's budget is the single biggest reason growth has flatlined. What did the Chancellor think would happen when she went on breakfast telly to do an emergency public service announcement? I interrupt your Cheerios to bring you this frightening message about income tax. And then, unbelievably, she changed her mind 3 days later. No wonder people are in despair.
It's crazy how policies can just be changed in a matter of days, overnight, and then completely reversed a few days later. That doesn't really give us the confidence in our government. And what happens when confidence goes? Lenders, they tighten their belts, investors are hesitant, and landlords are left either with the decision to completely walk away or raise the rent so the risk comes down. That's not even emotional based. This is just behavior. This is what happens.
She says she wants people to respect her. Respect is earned. Yeah. She apparently told Labour MPs this week, "I'll show the media, I'll show the Tories, I will not let them beat me." Show us what? Making stuff up at the dispatch box, incompetence, chaos, and the highest tax burden in history. She is spineless, shameless, and completely aimless.
Respect is not about speeches or what the intention is. Respect in housing comes from predictability. Can you foresee something? This is what I was just saying. They either walk away or increase it so the risk comes down. Because landlords can't predict what is going to happen with taxes if things are changing so quickly and being reversed a few days later, such as the mortgage costs, regulations. Liz Truss was in office, what, 20-something days? So landlords are forced. They have to take the sensible approach. So they price risk into the rent. And then tenants pay for it. So this is where the conversation always goes wrong. Everybody always thinks it's landlords versus tenants. And I can see their perspective, because landlords are increasing the rents all the time. But it's not. It's bad policies versus what actually happens in real life. Simple physics, right? When you squeeze one side of the market, the pressure has to come out of somewhere. It does not disappear. It's got to go somewhere. So it moves. And who does it move on to? Tenants. So this is one of the most important moments of her speech.
She congratulated herself on a new tax on landlords. Let me tell her this: hiking tax on landlords will only push up rents. It will push landlords out of the market. The people who will suffer are the tenants. And then she talks about taxes on electric vehicles. These changes will hit rural drivers the hardest, but we know that Labour don't care about rural people. All this budget delivers is higher taxes and out-of-control spending. Nobody voted for this. The Chancellor must take responsibility.
Because it's honest, right? It's not controversial, it's pure honesty. It completely confirms that if you know property, if you know housing market, if you know what happens when things change that drastically, you know what happens. It just confirms that if you know the property market, you know how to invest into the housing market, it confirms what they already know. You cannot punish landlords without further consequences. They're not going to be like, okay, cool, yeah, all right, I'm making £400 a month profit. New policy just means I'm going to make less. No, they shift the risk, or they walk away. You cannot tax the supply and expect prices to fall. So if landlords are thinking of selling up and they exit the market, the supply drops. And when supply drops, the rent has to go up. Simple as that. Simple equation of supply and demand. And the ones that suffer are the ones at the end of the chain, renters. The ones who have least power. The ones that can't change anything. They either pay or they don't rent that place. Listen to the frustration in her voice.
She chose to spend more and more money she didn't have, leaving taxpayers to foot the bill. She is out of money, out of ideas, out of her depth, and she has run out of road. The country simply cannot afford a chancellor who can't keep her own promises. Her position is untenable, and she knows it. She's talking to the chancellor. Is he mansplaining to you, by the way? Is he mansplaining? Do you want some help? Would you like some help?
This is the sound of just pure frustration of the system hitting its limit. Buy-to-let exists when risk is relative and predictable, and the margin is factored into it. Debt. Buy-to-let, you can scale a buy-to-let portfolio relying on debt, but if the debt element of it, the risk is so high, it's not manageable. So strip that away, you're left with stress, risk. It's not a smart investment. It's a shrinking return. It's not smart. This is why landlords are selling up. They're left with no choice but to leave. Listen to this.
People out there are crying. Last year, we had the horrors of the Halloween budget. This year, it's the nightmare before Christmas. And as for her, she's the unwelcome Christmas guest. 10 minutes through the door, and she's eaten all the Quality Street, Madam Deputy Speaker.
You know, I found this quite funny, but it's only funny because it's painfully accurate. People are fed up. They're exhausted. Landlords are exhausted. They're pissed off. Renters are exhausted. It's costing too much. Nobody is feeling like this system is working for them at all. The truth about it is, by trying to be seen to attacking landlords, the government have made renting worse by increasing taxes, regulations, borrowing costs. They've pushed housing costs up. But yeah, landlords are losing or lost, but renters lose more. And because renters are the majority of people, the damage is widespread but hidden, right? Because the government are attacking landlords. No, they're attacking renters, but indirectly. Now let's be clear, because, you know, buy-to-let is not dead because property is a bad investment. It's crap now because the risk involved no longer allows buy-to-let to be a viable option. You've got high deposits, you've got expensive mortgages, stupid tax rules, you've got tighter than ever regulations, stupid margins that just why people are doing buy-to-let now kind of baffles me. 200, 300, 400 pound a month profit on a buy-to-let where you've had to put 40, 50k down. It obviously depends on your current position and your goals, and if buy-to-let is a viable option, then perfect. But for the majority of just everyday landlords that have a couple of properties, it's not a viable option. And that's because you got one interest rate change, one major repair, one void, one bad tenant, boom, profit completely disappears. Not for just a month, not 6 months, maybe not even a year. Now, I've heard horror stories of landlords that had to pay 15k to get a tenant out after a very long time of voids, and then a refurb after it. So it's not a game of investing anymore, it's gambling. So buy-to-let's out of the way, what can you do? And to me, it's very simple. It's what I do. It's what I do daily. It's what my students do daily. It's control properties without ever buying them. Multiple strategies, no mortgages, no deposits, solves the landlord's problems of everything I've just spoke about with a guaranteed rent from a business. It's called rent to rent. Rent to rent is quietly exploding in the background while buy-to-let still treads water, pretending everything is fine. So if you want to understand exactly how rent to rent works and how you can get started, I created a free training video for you guys. Just a clear breakdown of exactly how all of this multiple strategies within rent to rent works. So go and watch this next, because buy-to-let didn't quickly die overnight, it was slowly killed. And the ones that are adapting are the ones getting started in rent to rent.